Picture this. You've got this guy, Jonah, super sharp solo consultant, running his own practice. For a while, he started letting these new AI tools decide things for him. And honestly, it was a massive relief. The work just flew by. But then, out of nowhere, on a random Tuesday, he gets this cold drop in his stomach. He suddenly realized he was just sitting in his own chair like a guest. He was feeding the machine problems, and it was spitting out these incredibly confident answers. And he'd just send them off. He wasn't checking the work anymore because the AI just sounded so much more sure than he felt. He hadn't been defeated by AI. He just quietly handed over the wheel and let the machine do all the deciding. So welcome to today's Explainer, where we're unpacking Ismail Gunaydin's incredibly timely insights on how to actually keep your hands on the wheel in this new AI age.
Okay, let's dive into this. Are you actually running your business, or are you just approving it? This validates a very real, totally unspoken anxiety so many of us are dealing with lately. It's this creeping sense of, hollow execution. Ask yourself, are you actually making the hard calls, or are you just ratifying an AI's incredibly confident recommendations? Approving is just so much lighter than choosing, and AI is always ready to offer you that lighter path. But when you only approve, you're not running your business anymore. You're just watching it run.
And that brings us to the hard-hitting core thesis from the author. The machine does the work, you do the living. Think about human agency not as this permanent thing you possess, but as a muscle. If you take your hands off the wheel, if you just stop making those real, gritty choices, that muscle quietly atrophies. The machine didn't steal your judgment. You just set it down because it was heavy, and the machine was standing right there with its hand out, ready to take it. So how do we reclaim that muscle? We're going to look at the last human jobs through a psychological roadmap made up of 5 key pillars to help you take your business back off autopilot. We've got the decision, the doubt, the jagged edge, the why, and finally, staying in the room. Let's jump right into our first pillar, the decision. AI offers, you choose, and you live with it. Here's the thing. AI is an absolutely unbelievable advisor. It can analyze mountains of data, summarize all the trade-offs, and lay out recommendations with unblinking, total certainty. But listen to me here. A recommendation engine feels absolutely zero sting when it gets it wrong. It just logs the outcome and moves on to the next prompt. You, on the other hand, you make the choice, and you commit a piece of yourself to that action. When a decision goes completely sideways, the lost client, the lost revenue, the really awkward apology, that all falls on you. The bill arrives at your door, not the machine's. A choice is only real when someone is actually on the hook for it. To stop this dangerous drift of accidentally letting the AI choose for you, there's a brilliantly actionable tool we can use called the Decision Ownership Line. It takes literally 30 seconds before you finalize a choice. First, you explicitly name the call being made. Then, you name who actually decided. And you've got to be brutally honest here. If you just rubber stamp the AI's output, write that down. Next, name who carries the consequence, which, spoiler alert, is always going to be you. And finally, write out the reasons in your very own words. Doing this simple exercise completely forces you to be present right at the moment of choosing.
No, what's really interesting about this slide is how we handle pillar 2, the doubt. It isn't a weakness to outsource, it's information to read.
You know that heavy stone you get in your chest when an AI answer seems totally fluent, but just feels off? Well, that doubt is not a weakness. It's actually vital information that you need to read. We can decode this doubt into 3 specific types. First up is a warning. This is when a specific detail just feels wrong, and it actually gets sharper the closer you look at it. Your move here, investigate the facts before deciding. Second is fatigue. This is that diffuse, end-of-the-day feeling that doesn't really attach to anything specific. Your move, go to sleep, decide tomorrow when you're rested. And the third is fear. You're worried about your image or failing, but notice how this doubt completely vanishes if you imagine making the choice in total privacy. Your move is to set that fear aside and decide purely on the merits. Look, if you pay a confident AI just to reassure you and silence these feelings, you are effectively erasing a vital early warning system that only human judgment can read. Which brings us to pillar 3, the jagged edge, knowing exactly when the confident machine is wrong. There is this invisible, totally unmarked border where an AI transitions from doing brilliant execution to confidently fabricating answers without changing its tone whatsoever. To show you just how dangerous this edge really is, there's a fascinating study from Harvard and BCG. They found that when a task sat just slightly outside the AI's capability frontier, the consultants who were being assisted by the AI were actually 19% less likely to get it right than the ones working completely on their own. The AI didn't hesitate. It didn't say, hey, I'm not really sure about this one. No, it just walked them right off a cliff, using the exact same calm, authoritative voice it used for the truth. So what's the cure for this cognitive offloading? It's a simple, non-negotiable rule. Form your own read first. Before you even look at the AI's output, take 30 seconds and form your own rough judgment. What do you think the answer is? Creating this little bit of friction is what keeps your judgment muscle sharp. It forces you to compare your own human instinct against the machine's confidence. And that gap right there, that is exactly where you catch the errors. Let's shift to the fourth pillar, the why. AI does the what and the how, but only you hold the why. Because an unanchored AI will always drift toward the generic average unless you supply the standard. AI can draft your strategies perfectly, sure, but it can never tell you what is actually worth doing. To keep the machine aimed in the right direction, you need the why anchor. It's just 4 steps. Step 1, what the business actually does, with zero fluff. Step 2, who it is specifically for. Step 3, what you absolutely refuse to do for money. And step 4, why this matters to you. I really want to heavily emphasize step 3 here, what you refuse to do for money. This is the absolute load-bearing wall of your business. If your direction can't say no, it's just going to get redirected by the very next profitable shortcut that comes along. AI can never, ever build this wall for you. And that brings us to the final pillar, staying in the room. This is all about the person you become, and the quietest danger of all, disappearing into good tools without any alarms ever going off. So the crucial point is understanding agency. Agency is the lived fact of being the one who decides. And as we've seen throughout this explainer, it is a capacity that atrophies if unexercised. It's not some permanent possession you just get to keep. If you are just formally present in the process, mindlessly hitting approve on AI work without exercising real heavy judgment, you have completely degraded your role into mere procedural theater. You've become nothing more than a rubber stamp. To fight this off, there is a single, incredibly honest question you absolutely must ask yourself before you approve any AI output. Do I actually agree with this, or am I just tired and it sounds sure? If you can't genuinely say you agree, then you aren't providing oversight anymore. You have officially left the room. If you're looking to actually put these frameworks into practice, go ahead and scan the QR code on screen to download the Judgment Workbook straight from the source material. It's got this fantastic agency audit tool we've been talking about, and it will really help you reclaim the wheel and pinpoint exactly where you might have slipped into autopilot. I want to leave you with this one lingering, provocative question to chew on. Are you still deciding, or are you just watching your business run? Look, the AI tools we have today are a massive, game-changing gift. Use them. Absolutely use all of them. Let the machine do the heavy lifting, the analyzing, the drafting, the whole shebang. But never, ever forget that running your business was never really about the execution anyway. It was always about the deciding. And the deciding is entirely yours. Keep your hands on the wheel.